Hi, guys. Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? I'm so excited to talk to Katie. I can't believe I'm interviewing Katie Couric. Pinch me. I hope you guys all read her book or you're going to read her book. It is literally so incredible. Um, Let me know if you can hear me. Hi, Camilla. Oh, my friends are here. We're just gonna wait for Katie, but if you have any questions for her, comment and I will try to get to them. Although we have so many questions for her from book club. It was such an awesome read. Hi guys. Um, I can't believe I'm interviewing Katie either. I saw her live show and I knew that she had to be the first book for our book club. So I think, oh, there she is. Let's add her in. Let's see. Katie request. Um, classic, classic trouble on the live. I think Katie's gonna request any second. Just two gals trying to make our Instagram work. Sorry guys, I just showered. I have a photo shoot. Oh, there she is. There's Katie. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Did it work? No, it didn't. Thanks. Oh, there she is.
Hi.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
Sorry, late. I'm so sorry. Hi, Tinx.
Don't apologize. We're so happy to have you here. I just told my followers I can't believe I'm interviewing Katie Couric. I was on the phone with my whole family, all the gals in my family this morning. They were like, you're really interviewing Katie, and I was like, I know. It's one of those
Great.
moments.
I'm
So
very flattered. First of all, thank you so much for picking my book, Tinx, for your book club. That was so exciting for me.
of
Um, I
you
hope you
know,
read it. Hope you
I
got out of it.
I did. I had started to read it when I came to your live show. It was so fortuitous. I was in New York and your lovely team invited me to come out and I had already started it and I knew it was going to be good because you know me and the followers know me. I love a memoir. And then your live show was honestly it was breathtaking. Like it was so smart and so multifaceted and just gave such a good look into who you are as a person, what the book is about, and just all the different dimensions of your incredible career. So I was like, this is exactly what my book club is about. All the books I want them to have the same vibes. So it was an easy choice, and it was a phenomenal read. My whole book is earmarked and highlighted. So thank you
Oh,
for
that's so nice. Well, you know, the live show was really fun for people who maybe weren't following me. We went 9 cities, and basically I wanted to be in conversation with interesting people, primarily women who were doing interesting things. And it was a little bit kind of combination of a mini TED talk with visuals, sort of my childhood, sort of what sparked my passion for storytelling.
yeah.
And I interviewed somebody really interesting in every city, and actually two people at every stop. Somebody who I covered or was interested in an issue I covered along the way, and some of the themes that I talk about in the book. And then someone who, I admire. So I had like Jennifer Garner in California. I interviewed Tarana Burke, who really started the Me Too movement before it became a hashtag.
Yeah.
uh, I talked to, you know, just really Tan France in Boston, Chloe Feynman, and Melissa Villasenor in New York, the young sort of shining stars of SNL.
Oh,
And
cool.
Lorraine, who was burned over 80% of her body on 9/11, who's just been such an inspiration for me, Tinks. And so for me, I didn't want calling me. I didn't want to spend the hour and a half talking about myself. I wanted to use it as to spotlight other people. So that
Right.
made it really fun for me.
Right. And you did, and you did in such a beautiful way. And it just illustrated what a natural journalist and natural reporter and interviewer you are. And it was incredible. I was in New York, so I got to see the SNL girls, for everybody watching, and it was so fun. And again, so multifaceted. And it was just, you know, people were laughing, people were crying. It was like a whole world, in one show. So I really credit you and your team, for that. So it was wonderful.
Thank
I have
you.
so many questions from the book club. So I am not a good interviewer like you are. I am not a
Just honestly, you know what makes a good interviewer, everyone who's interested in doing that is oh, Leslie Jordan. I don't know. Leslie Jordan was just promoting himself. I don't think so. But anyway, um, you know, I think to be a good interviewer, Tinks, you just have to be really interested, curious. Um, you have to be prepared, I think, a little bit. I think that's important because I think you have to ask thoughtful questions. You know, I always know when someone's interviewing me and they're just phoning it in. They
right.
first, you know, their editor said, go to this event and ask her X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
I people who are being interviewed, particularly authors I have found through the years, are so grateful that A, someone read the book,
Right.
B, that they're truly interested in some of the themes of the book, thoughtful questions to ask. So I would say if you're just interested and curious, then you can be a great interviewer. And you have to be a good listener too.
That's so
You have to sometimes, like when I first started out, I was so worried about, oh, what am I going to ask next? What am I going to ask next? Particularly in a live situation. But if you really listen, you can pick up cues and things that people say, and it might spark a question in you that you had no idea you were going to ask. So
yeah.
that's
No, it's true. And I know I find that too, even when I'm being interviewed. You can always tell when someone's not really listening. They're just waiting to ask the next question, which is sometimes out of nerves. But the best interviews, podcasts I've ever done, it's just kind of a flowing conversation. And, you know, there's touch points. And I do have some great questions from, people who read the your book with my book club. And I want to get to those. But I thought I would just start and say what really stood out to me from your book was your perseverance. And that's something that I talk to my followers about all the time. You know, sometimes you don't know exactly where the path is taking you, but you just got to keep rowing the boat. And you know, in your personal life, in your career, you really had, you know, this perseverance, which served you incredibly well. So I'm wondering if you could talk to a little bit about, you know, especially I have so many girls who follow me who are in their young 20s and they're like, you know, they're in a job which they don't really like that much, or they're not really sure what they want to do, or they're kind of stuck here. So I talk to them all the time about, you know, just putting one foot in front of the other and doing a good job wherever you are. It might not be your dream job. You might be in a tricky situation, but I always say how you do anything is how you do everything. And there's so much of that in your book. So maybe you can start with a little bit about that.
yeah, I mean, I think that's such a good point. I tell people that too. Even kind of a shitty job that you don't really love can teach you interpersonal skills. It can teach you the importance of being on time, of giving it your all. I don't care if you're a barista at Starbucks or if you're like have a corner office at some big corporation. I think both that there are certain job skills that I think can be honed even at a low level. So I totally agree with you there. I also think being in a certain job sometimes teaches you what you don't want to do. You know,
Yes.
and so that experience of being exposed to different things. When I started out, everyone wanted me to be in sales because I'm very outgoing. I can sort of talk to a table. I think I could sell anything to anyone. And yet I didn't really want to go into sales because I wanted something that for me kind of was a little more intellectually challenging, made me think about ideas and issues. And also I love to write.
Mhm.
And so I know that by doing that one summer at a radio station in Washington, I thought I loved the experience. I loved the people I met. I admired the women I worked with and who I got to shadow. But it clarified for me that that wasn't something that was really speaking to me, if you will.
Right.
So I think you're right. And I also tell Tinx, also tell people, Tinx, that they have to kind of be honest about like what really excites them. You know, you ideally want to do something that doesn't feel like work, that you really enjoy. And I think generally what you're good at is
Yeah,
what excites you. So, are you good? Are you a good writer? Are you good around people? Do you like a more solitary job? Like,
yeah,
what do you like to do in your spare time can sometimes help, I think, uh, clarify what you want to do for a living.
for sure. Oh my God, absolutely. I totally agree. And I, I tell the girls all the time that it can take a while. It can take a couple iterations of a career to figure out what you want to do. And I always used to think that people were lying when they said that thing like, oh, find what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I was like, people are full of shit. Like that's there's no way that that can be a real thing. But finally, at the ripe old age of 31, I found a job that I love and that doesn't feel like work to me. So it can take a lot of iterations. And exactly to your point, finding out what you don't like is as important as finding out what you do like, especially in your 20s, especially in your career. It's okay to say, this really isn't for me, but hey, I can take these three things away from it and move on. So yeah, I have a question from Emily in our book club on the topic of career. So I'm going to sneak that in right now. Emily asked, in my career, I've been taking many lateral moves as opposed to positions upward and onward. What is your career advice to women who may not be achieving in comparison to their peers? Hmm.
Well, I think lateral moves are fine, but at some point, I think you need to kind of invest in something that you can really build on. It's sort of hard when when it's such a general question because I would love to know some more specifics. I think, you know, jumping around is fine to a point, but as I said, I think you want to, you know, keep, as I said, keep building on something, but it's also like, what is your end goal?
Right,
I think people have different end goals. You know, I just wanted to be a network correspondent because I wanted to cover national stories by the time I was 30. And I
right.
set a goal for myself.
Yeah,
Uh, but for some people, you know, what is your goal financially? Uh, what is your
yeah,
comfort level in terms of, where you see yourself in 10 years? You know, I think that it's really important in terms of the lateral move, finding your passion and your sweet spot, because once you do, I think success will follow. And when I say success, that depends on how you define success. Is it
totally.
like you're making a huge contribution to the world? Does it feel like, you go to bed at night and you feel really good about
Yeah,
what you're doing? I think especially people your age and younger, Tinks, are, you know, starting to think they don't need, McMansions. They don't need to keep up with the Joneses. It's really more about personal fulfillment, contentment. Do you feel like you're putting something really positive out in the world? So um, I think
agree.
that
Yeah.
those are the things you have to kind of think of.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny now that I'm starting to have traction in my career. I realize that actually success is quite different to what I thought it was going to be. I used to think, hey, listen, I'll admit it. I used to think, well, I'll feel successful when I can buy myself a nice car and when I can buy myself a house and have, fancy clothes. But honestly, the more that I spend time in this current career, I realize like I want to have an impact on my generation of women and the women younger than me and all women. And that's what really feels like success to me now is when I get a note from a girl saying, you know, because of you, I had the courage to stop talking to this loser guy I was talking to, or I had the courage to start therapy and it's really bolstering my confidence. And now I see that's my measure of success. So yeah, I think it changes as we progress in our careers.
By the way, and people are making fun, I'm eating some soup. Hi, everyone. I'm eating some lentil soup
Over
that
here.
um, you know, I think I'm all for being financially independent. I just want to say to the women out there, it was really, really important for me to be able to support myself. I didn't like the feeling of being, and this is also different for everyone, but I didn't want to be beholden. Geez, is that my smoke alarm? I didn't want to be beholden to other people, and I didn't want to be dependent on other people. Now, that was really important because my husband died of cancer when he was 42 and I was 41. If
Yeah,
I working, I would find myself with two daughters to support if I had dropped out of the workforce.
right.
Things happen, and I think it's really important if if in the event that you find yourself suddenly in a terrible situation, that you have the wherewithal and the ability to support yourself. And
Absolutely.
that is one of the reasons for me it was extremely important. Um, Someone says, all this sounds great and neglects, I like to read what people are saying, neglects something. I couldn't read it about agency. But anyway, I think it's, I have told my daughters that regardless of their status, it's really important if they can to be financially independent.
I totally agree. I think it is so important. And you know, my followers ask me all the time, sometimes in a jokey way, like, "Oh, Tink, should we be looking for a rich guy? Should we try to find a sugar daddy or whatever?" And I always tell them, being financially independent is the single most important thing that a woman can do for herself. You have to have that, and you have to be able to have that fallback, you know, and it all the gifts and all the other stuff is fun, and I get all these jokey questions from my girls about that, but being able to support yourself and to have a plan and to have that security is the greatest independence and gift that you can give yourself. And I know, you know, people are saying in the comments that that's difficult and that's hard and it takes time, and I absolutely acknowledge and agree
But
with that.
by the way, life is hard. You
Yeah,
talk about persistence.
yeah,
Um, when I was in my 20s, I moved around. I went through the phone book, first of all, when I was in college to get summer internships at radio stations. I then I was in Washington, D.C. right after I graduated, lived with my parents so I could save some money, then
yeah,
got a job in Atlanta, then got a job in Miami, then went back to Washington, D.C. Yes, I think part of it is you talk about persistence and perseverance. It takes work and it takes time and it takes thought, and you have to figure out and do some soul searching, and you have to hit the pavement. No one's going to hand you anything. No
yeah,
one did me anything. I was lucky. Yes, I was privileged in that I had a lot of things going for me as a young white woman in America. On
for
the
sure.
other hand, I came from a very, very middle class background. My parents never gave me any money, and they sent me to the University of Virginia in state. And it took a lot of initiative. And so, what I'm saying is, you have to, it takes work to
Yeah,
find, and it takes work to find your sweet spot and what makes you passionate. And the people who are just kind of on the sidelines complaining are not going to get the job done. And I know that's sort of tough love, but it's true.
yeah,
You have to, really get out there and pound the pavement and look and think and go for informational interviews, talk to people, volunteer, you know, work for people, ask if have a lot of initiative. And that's sort of how I think I worked my way up the ladder. You
yeah.
got to get noticed for being somebody who's a go-getter. And
Totally.
I respect go-getters. And girls, if you're not going and getting it, you need to start now.
I agree. I really believe in I always say work hard and be nice to people. You never know when somebody's going to come back around. You just have to work. And I think especially with people in the public eye, and I will say I think specifically women in the public eye, people just tend to see, you know, the end result, right? They just tend to see, oh, they're famous, or oh, they're this, they're that, and they don't see the years of grit and perseverance that it took to have that amazing book, to have that amazing career. And so again, I really credit you. I want to switch gears because a big part of your book is about your daughters, and you are such an incredible mom. But that's balance too, right? That's a lot of work to balance a full-time career and being a mom. And I have and I don't have kids. I'm not married, but I really, really hope to have a family someday. And I think, as I think most women spend a lot of time pondering about, you know, how is that all going to work? How is that all going to come together? So I have a question from Krista from the book club. She says, my wife and I are in our mid 30s and about to try for our first child. We love the career paths we're on, and we're feeling nervous about how having a baby may derail our progress. Any advice for two career ambitious aspiring moms? And that question goes for me too. Although I'm not about to have a child, I hope to in the future. So
Yeah.
part
I
some way.
First of all, I think it's really important to have a partner who's willing to uh, have an equal division of labor. I was very lucky. My late husband was an extremely involved parent. You know,
Mhm.
he didn't call it babysitting when he watched the girls. He called
Right,
it parenting. And
right.
I think it's really important to have, first of all, like in any relationship, an open line of communications about a communication about making sure that both parties are able to contribute
Yeah,
to childcare, to keeping the house in order, and that there's fairness there. I also think it's really important that for childcare that you don't scrimp on childcare. To me, it's amazing when I've seen very wealthy people really be cheap when it comes to the people taking care of their most precious thing in the world to them. So I think when it comes to childcare, you need to make sure you compensate someone fairly.
yeah,
And I think that you just have to constantly calibrate sort of where and how you're spending your time. I
yeah,
think that I didn't spend a lot of time feeling guilty when my girls were little. I just thought it was a colossal waste of time, and
yeah,
I tried to every week think, what do I need to do differently? Where am I sacrificing some time? Where do I need to spend some more time with them? Quality time is really important when you're with your children. Put your damn phone away and really focus on them, and not be sort of half in and half out because you're paying attention to all this stuff that really doesn't matter. Quality time is so essential. So I think just really kind of talking through it. And if you have a bad week or you feel some guilt, just remember that you can make up for it on the weekend, and make sure that the time you spend with your children is time that really counts.
yeah. I love that. I don't think about that enough, you know, just in general about how guilt is a colossal waste of time. I love that notion. And it's true. It's pointless, and it's more about course correcting and thinking, okay, how can I do better go forward? And that applies to everything in life, not just with balancing you know, your children and your career. So I absolutely love that. Great. Okay, I have some faster questions to go through since we're nearing the end, and I know people have so much they want to ask you. Someone asked, when a movie is made about you, who would you like to play you?
I don't think a movie's going to be made about me, and I have no idea, but someone, hopefully young and very intelligent.
Definitely. Tell us a band or someone that you listen to that would surprise us.
Mm. I don't think anything would really surprise people. I really like
Um,
female vocalists.
yeah.
I do. I like Joni Mitchell and Taylor Swift and
Mhm.
Linda That, and I think often in fact, I was thinking sometimes like how generationally we're influenced by the music we listen to at a certain age. And the music I listened to in college is still the music I really love to listen to now. I love Motown, and I, as I said, a lot of female vocalists. But who would surprise? I don't know. I'm really boring when it comes to music, and I love music. I just always forget to turn it on, and I it makes me so happy. So I'll take recommendations from your young followers, Tinx, who I should be listening to.
Everybody's very happy that you're a Swiftie in the comments, that they like.
I I I like Justin Bieber. Is that weird?
Oh my God, I love Justin Bieber. I saw him in concert like 4 times last year. I love the guy. He was my number one artist on Spotify last year, so I'm with you. Hey, he's happy music. It's fun. It's easy listening. I
Yeah.
love him.
Oh, that Christmas song that he wrote about Under the Mistletoe. I was like, the words are just sort of kind of lame.
Yeah, yeah. It's easy listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think Taylor's more of a poet, so
for sure. So Katie, if I were to write a book, what advice as a first time author would you give me?
write about what you know.
It's
You know,
great. Yeah.
um, write about what you've learned, write things that you think, I think it's really interesting in this day and age. We have such a connection with our followers and people who are, who with whom we build a community,
Yeah.
because such a two-way relationship. I don't even like to call them followers because to me they're part of a community.
I totally agree. I often feel so, they are my followers, but there's so much more than that. That's why I always say, oh, the girls, or, they're more my friends. It's a community. It's a two-way street. And it's not just me pushing content. It's a ecosystem that I have with my followers. So I agree. Sorry, I cut you off, but
Yeah,
go.
no, that's okay. I think that I think everyone's trying to find their voice, whether it's
Yeah.
philosophically or on a macro or micro level.
Hmm? Shit. Shoot. We froze. Is Katie froze? Oh. Guys, can you hear me? Am I frozen or is just Katie frozen? Hold on. She'll be back. She'll be back. Don't worry. She'll be back to tell us more. Okay. Are you guys still here? Can you hear me? Oh, man. Come back, Katie. Okay. Well, I'm here. Any last questions for Katie before she comes back? I'm sure she'll pop back in. I was going to ask her about burnout because that's something that I'm struggling with right now. Guys, can you believe I'm literally interviewing Katie Couric right now? My mom is so proud of me today. She's gone. I know. Oh, thank you for saying my skin looks good. I just took a shower and did some skincare. Um, Hopefully she'll be back. I know she had to hop at 12, so hopefully we can sign on and let's see. Katie, is she coming back? Let's see. Maybe she's not coming back. Um, just me. Well, guys, if you aren't a member of my book club, there's going to be more conversation on the Literati app. And if you haven't read Katie's book, I cannot recommend it enough. It is such an incredible book, and she's just gone through so much in a male dominated industry. And she's really, really incredible. The book is really great. It's called Going There, um, and it's fabulous. I don't know. Maybe she's not coming back. So I'll just chat with you guys for a while. Any questions about the book club or books you want to read? Um, there's going to be a lot of female authors. You know me. um, At least it was near the end. Maybe she's not coming back. Let me ask my team. How's everyone's Monday going? Hop onto the literary. Okay, yeah. I need a haircut. That's unrelated to the book, but I do. Thanks for saying I do. Oh, there's Katie. Let's see. There she is. We'll just great. She's coming back.
I am so sorry.
Don't worry. We're
My
near the
phone died. It
don't
just like,
worry.
I am
Don't,
so sorry. Hi, everybody.
don't
So
worry.
sorry. So sorry. Okay. What I was saying, Tinx,
Yeah.
it didn't really warn me that my battery was dying. But what I was going to say is, I think you could write about finding your voice, because what strikes me about you is that, you're sort of unapologetically who you are. And I think in this day and age, everyone has an opinion. I say the great thing about the democratization of media is everyone has an opinion and everyone has a platform. The worst thing about the democratization of media is everyone has an opinion and everyone has a platform. So I kind of feel like, you could write a very interesting book about sort of finding your voice and staying secure and strong in who you are. Because I think uh, it's sometimes hard when everyone is coming at you with either positivity or negativity to kind of stay true to who you are. So anyway, but I also think that you shouldn't write a book yet because you're having a lot of life experiences, and I think it's too soon, really, for you to do that. I think keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
keep kind of learning and growing and learning from the people with whom you've kind of, I think, as I was saying earlier, that it's really a two-way street, that
Yeah.
I think the feedback and the interactivity, I get a lot of pleasure from it, and I also learn a lot from people who follow me. And I think that you have to continue to have the humility to know that you can grow from what other people are saying. And and I have so much respect, even when I don't agree with people, um, who
Yeah.
write to me with thoughtful comments.
Oh, I
they're
agree.
saying they're saying you should write a book. Well, if you want to, you can. You do whatever you want. But I also think there's something to be said about learning and growing. And Tinx is pretty young, you guys. So I think maybe she can keep doing what she's doing, um, and then share kind of her life experiences. But obviously, it's up to you.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's good advice. And I too learn so much from my community. I learn every day something. People write me the most thoughtful, not always thoughtful. I mean, there's sometimes some crazy comments in there, but they write me the most thoughtful notes, and I learn so much, and it is a two-way street. And I think I love giving advice, and I love getting advice. And that's why I love memoirs so much. And I always have found specifically, women's stories of their careers and their lives so comforting, because I learn so much. It's I love to learn, and I love to pass on. and
The
and I
one thing I was going to say, Tinks, that you could start doing, and I remember when I got my job on the Today Show, Gene Shalit, who used to review movies, who is
yeah,
just a wonderful man, and just I love him. He's still alive, and when I got the job, he came into my office and he said, "You need to start keeping a journal or
yeah,
speaking into a tape recorder every day." And I said, Gene, that is such a good idea.
yeah.
And of course, I never did it. But
You never did. I
no,
That was going to be my last question, is that you have such a good recollection of all these little incidents and stories and little things about how you were feeling. And I was wondering if this whole throughout your career you were taking notes. And everyone always tells me, like, write story, write it down. And I get to the end of the day and I'm like so tired. I'm always like, tomorrow I'll do it, I'll remember, I'll take a picture, that's how I'll remember. But I was going to ask you if that's how you had such a amazing recollection of everything.
I think because certain things, I think I do have a really good memory.
Yeah.
And I think things, because they're preserved on, either through speeches or graduation addresses I've given through the years. You know, I've told my story over and over again, whether it's, as I said, like a commencement address, or maybe it's an event, or a reflection back when I was having an anniversary on the Today Show. So, and of course I could look up a lot of news events, which gave me the foundation to help kind of spur memories. And then I would look up interviews I had done. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate some of the comments about um, that people enjoyed my book because I really wrote it with the benefit of hindsight. And I really wrote it against a backdrop of tremendous and in many ways positive social change when it
Yeah.
came to looking at gender equality, when it came to looking at gay rights, and sort of our better understanding of gender in general, whether it, you know, came to how I might have been complicit when it came to issues of race, and
Yeah.
why the media always focuses on missing white women, for example, and now it's called missing white women syndrome. I think that we are all have such a better understanding and appreciation. I mean, we're getting there. It's not, this evolution is in no way complete. Understanding other life experiences that, quite frankly, have not been sufficiently represented in media up to this point. So I think that, you know, that was a really, I think, fulfilling opportunity for me to reflect back
Yeah.
on the last 40 years and how we have changed both collectively and how I've changed individually.
Yeah, you were so critical of not only your industry but also of yourself in a way that I thought was so honest, and just very raw and incredible. And I think I appreciated that so much, and I know a lot of other people did too, because it was, you know, you were writing it during this incredible shift where, you know, the curtain is kind of being pulled back, and we're really taking an honest look um at the media, and how it, you know, the what's unfair about it, and what's bad about it, and how can we be more involved, and how can we think more critically about it. So I know that I think that was one of the best parts of your book.
Well, you know, it was important for me to be self-critical and honest. You know, I didn't want to call I didn't want to call my book My Perfect Life. I
Right.
think if you live a life of consequence and you live a life of where you take chances and risks and you are growing, you're inevitably going to make mistakes. And
Yes.
that's okay. And I think part of our culture needs to be more open hearted and open minded about the fact that we make mistakes.
We
And
do.
how can we learn from them? How can we grow from them? How can we evolve into better people? And I think, you know, that's one of the things that I really, really wanted to do in this book. And, um, you know, my husband said, if you're not going to be honest, you shouldn't write a book. And so that's why I tried to be honest, not only about my own shortcomings and blind spots and things that I would do differently, but I was very honest about experiences I had. And I wanted to make sure that I was giving an honest account of my life.
Yeah, and you did, and I really admire that, and I feel like I learned so much from you, because I, you know, I'm so new to this, but I tell my followers all the time, like, I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm sure I have. I'm sure I will. But I think in this new era, it's not about trying to never make a mistake, or it's not about trying to bury the mistakes. It's about saying, hey guys, like, this could have been better. Here's why, and here's how I'm going to course correct it going forward. I always say to my followers, if you're not cringing at yourself a year ago, you're not growing fast enough. Like, we are, as people, meant to evolve and learn. And, you know, I've chosen to evolve and learn in front of my followers and with them. And I know that with that comes responsibility and ownership the choices that I make and the content that I create. So I feel like I learned how to from you, like, do that with grace, and be critical, but also just move forward and really just constantly be bettering myself. So
Someone just said, embrace the cringe or die trying to be cool. I
that's
like that. That'll be my new bumper sticker. But,
that's a great.
and also, by the way, we're here to have fun too. Like, there are a lot of heavy issues, there are a lot of serious problems, but, I think also we have to remind ourselves that life is full of joy and these moments, and, um, that it's really important to laugh, to appreciate kind of the absurdity of life, to have fun, to make fun of yourself, to, you know, to not take everything so seriously. It sucks all the joy out of life.
I
And
agree.
I think that's something that you do so well. And that's, I think I have a good sense of humor. I love to laugh. I love to have fun. And so I know life can feel very heavy, especially what's going on in our country, especially with COVID, especially with kind of this whole, I think, recalibration
Yes.
of who we are as a nation and who we are as people. But I don't know, just, you know, I knew Bob Saget a bit. I
Mm.
had a date with him once. And by the way, I have a podcast, everyone. Someone said, "Would you ever do a podcast?" It's called Next Question. Check it out. But Bob Saget was 65 years old. I just turned 65 on Friday, and he died in his sleep on, I guess, Saturday night. And it goes by so quickly, and so it's really important for us, to and you all, most of your followers are younger, but really appreciate the moment and appreciate every day. I'm getting sad talking about Bob, but
I know. It's a complete tragedy and gone too soon. And you're right that it goes by so fast and nothing is guaranteed. I get it. No, it's really, really sad day for everyone who knew him and for America. I mean, he meant so much to so many people, and I think that's a testament to what a great person and what a wonderful entertainer he was and how much he gave to all of us.
yeah, he was just a really good person, quietly good. And anyway, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, enjoy yourself, everyone, and really appreciate the people who love you and the people you love, and
Yes.
try to be a good, compassionate person. David Brooks talks about eulogy values. And, you want to be remembered as somebody who was there for other people, and who was a kind and considerate and compassionate and giving person. That's so important. But also, it's important just to carpe diem and seize the moment, and enjoy your life. That's something that my husband always reminds me of. Like, he's 6 or 7 years younger than I am, six, I think. And he always says, "Hey, you're never going to be any younger." It's like, you're right.
Yes.
And I think in 10 years, I'm going to look back, if I'm around, I hope I am, and
You
say,
will.
wow, I should have really appreciated being 65, and all the things that I should have been grateful for. So just appreciate every day. I don't know why I'm getting into all these sort of,
People
um,
kidding me. This is what I know. This is what my followers, we talk about this all the time. We talk about gratitude. I always say that, when you're lost or when you want to, just take stock of what's going on, write a gratitude list. Every day is another chance, and every day we have something to be grateful for. So I love that you got into this. I think it's a great note to end on. Someone just said that they can't put your book down, which is,
that's so nice. Hey, Tings, can I tell you one other thing before we
yeah,
go?
please.
So I've been, as I wrote on my Instagram, I've been kind of blessed beyond measure, and there's not a thing in the world that I want at all. I've never been like super into things,
Yeah.
especially after my husband died. I sort of thought things are nice, but just not imperative. But so I'm doing 65 acts of kindness this year. You know, I
That's
would like to think that I do acts of kindness on a regular basis, but I'm actually keeping track. So if this woman really wants to ask you that, have you asked me about burnout or wants you to talk about burnout, but we'll talk about that.
well,
But anyway, if any of your followers or your community want to do acts of kindness according to their age, like you're 31, right? So you would do 31 acts of kindness this year and
I
just
love
write them down. And so far I've already done 6 and my birthday was on Friday.
amazing.
And and it's just a really nice way to remember the best way to feel better about yourself is to do something for other people and to
Totally.
kind of get outside yourself. And you know, psychologists have found that to be true. There have been all kinds of studies that once you think about other people, you automatically feel better. So if anybody wants to join me in
I
doing this, I
I'll
think it's a really fun thing to do. And it can be little things like find someone a cup of coffee, or one of mine was picking up a broken piece of glass on the beach this weekend, which I knew somebody might, you
might
know,
step. Yeah.
they might step on and they might hurt their feet. And others were like, I'm making a contribution to the Scleroderma Foundation to honor Bob Saget. It might be bringing flowers that, you know, to somebody. Or anyway, there are all kinds of little things that you can do, big and small. So it's just a thought. If anybody wants to
I'll
join me, we can start a whole act of kindness movement.
I totally love that. Let's do it. I'm in. I'm gonna do 31 and I'll keep track of them and
Yeah, do. And we can compare them.
we can compare. I love that. Awesome. Katie, thank you for not only this morning, but for your beautiful book that gave me so much and I know is going to bring so much wisdom and peace to so many women and people around the world. So I appreciate you. Thanks for being a friend. Thanks for
Yeah, thank you, Tinx, and thanks everyone who joined this conversation. It's nice to meet you all, even though we're kind of just meeting on Instagram. But I really enjoyed this conversation, Tinx. Sorry I got emotional, but I don't know why.
that's human. That's it's beautiful. It's wonderful. We're all multifaceted human beings and there's so much emotion. So it's nice to see. So thank you, Katie. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome. Thanks, everyone. Tinx.
Bye.
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 Bye.